Today I'm going to be showing you how to transform your boring curtains into fully automated curtains using SwitchBot's new Curtain 3. So let's check it out. Hey everyone, and welcome to a new video on Bite of Geek. So SwitchBot have recently released their new Smart Curtain 3. This is the third iteration of this device that they've gone and made. First time I've done anything with a SwitchBot device. Certainly first time I've ever used any kind of curtain motor or driver, whatever you want to call it. Now, SwitchBot for me, probably the original. The manufacturer that came out with these originally, as far as I'm aware anyway. But since then you've got the likes of Akara and ZemiSmart and things like that that have all come out with their own versions of these kinds of devices. And I guess, with this third generation of curtain driver or motor, whatever you want to call it, SwitchBot are kind of like trying to push themselves ahead of that competition now. So really interested to see how this works out in my home. Thanks to SwitchBot for sending out the new SwitchBot Curtain 3. They've also kindly sent me the new Hub 2 and a couple of remote controls as well. So more on that hub a little later on. So the SwitchBot Curtain 3 is available currently in two versions, the rod version, which I'm testing today, and also a U-rail version. There's an I-rail version coming shortly, but it's the rod version that I'm going to be using in particular on an extendable rod. So you can get extendable rods that have an internal joiner on them. The one I'm using it on is just where the rod extends out, so there is actually a noticeable lip where the rod extends, and I'll be seeing how well the SwitchBot actually deals with that. So this rod version works with a curtain rod diameter range of between 15 and 40 millimeters, which I think is a pretty good range, to be honest. I'm going to be using this on a curtain rod that is 28 millimeters in diameter. So I'm going to be using the SwitchBot Curtain 3 on a grommet style type of curtain. It does support a good range of curtain types, but if you want to check your kind of like compatibility and what's going to work for you, fitment and all that kind of stuff, I'll put a link down below in the description to the SwitchBot website, and you can go and check out that information there. So this is the box for one of the SwitchBot Curtain 3 motors. So obviously if you've got a pair of them, you'll have two of these, but when you open this up, you've got a number of boxes on the inside. Basically it's broken down into accessories and the main motor and the hook. So you've got this, which is the main motor, and you can see it's got the roller at the top, and at the bottom it has got a USB port. That's where you're going to plug the cable in for charging. You've then got, in this box, you've got the hooks which just clip on the sides. They do only clip on in a certain orientation, so don't try and force it if you can't get them to clip on properly. Then you've got this box. Basically these are the clips. If you've got a certain type of curtain, you can attach these on the top to help with pulling the curtain along and keeping it all bunched up. And then finally you've got another box which has got these little magnets on. I'll talk about those later on in the video. You've got some other little clips here and things like that as well. And finally you've got this, which is the bit that goes over when you've got an extendable curtain rod that has a noticeable transition between the two rods. So this helps with getting the motor across that transition in the rod. Now if you're wanting to automate a pair of curtains, then you're going to need two SwitchBot Curtain 3 devices, but installation just takes a few minutes each side. Certainly if you've already got the rod in place, you simply just attach the hooks to the rod and then you pull down. I found you had to pull down quite firmly, to be honest. You've got to be careful to just make sure that you've got the little SwitchBot logo on the main body, that's actually facing inwards. Otherwise things aren't going to quite go exactly how you're thinking it's going to work. Trust me, I talk from experience on that. Now, as I said earlier, I'm using a rod that extends from the inside, and therefore there's a noticeable transition between the two lengths of the curtain rod. Using my curtains normally, they always get stuck on this. SwitchBot have had a think about this, and they've included this little kind of like metal or sticky strip that you can put around the outside of the rod where that transition takes place. Whilst it's great that SwitchBot have thought about this problem and tried to come up with a solution to it, to be honest with you, I found it quite difficult to get it to look kind of half decent. Really, sticky tape and a bit of metal bent around the pole didn't look that great. Certainly when the curtains were open, I guess if you've got a pelmet or something like that, it won't look as obvious. But for me, it just looked kind of like spoilt the look of the curtain rod. So I'm going to try a couple of other things myself, which hopefully will work as well as what SwitchBot have provided. Now you probably want to go and install your curtain 3 behind your curtain, ideally between the first and the second loop or hook, depending upon your curtain style. You do get, as I showed in the contents of the box, you do get the little plastic kind of like clips that you can attach to the different parts, the tabs of your curtain. I found that my curtain operated perfectly fine without those. But obviously, if you want a nice bunching effect and you can't get that without them, then you may have to use them. For me, from an aesthetics perspective, I decided not to use that. As I say, it did work fine without those. So once you've got your curtain 3 motors in place, then all you then need to do is install the app and set up an account. And well, it is really such a simple process from here on in. So if you want to, you can go through a guided process or the calibration, or you can do that yourself. You do get these little sticky magnets that are included in the pack, and certainly you're going to want to use those if you have a central bracket on your curtain rod like I do. So the motors will actually detect that as being the end point, and they won't go any further than that whilst they're going along the pole. Now the SwitchBot Curtain 3 comes with a 3340 milliamp lithium ion battery, which is apparently good for up to 8 months worth of use between charge. Obviously that very much depends upon how many times you're opening and closing your curtains every day. You do get USB cable in the box, you don't get any kind of USB plug or anything like that. But if you're not wanting to have to keep on connecting that cable or taking down the SwitchBot motors from your curtain rod, then SwitchBot also have a solar panel, which is a redesign of the previous solar panel, and this basically just hangs from the SwitchBot motor itself. There's a little by the USB port that's on the bottom of it, so that may be an option for you. Here in the UK, with kind of like 3 weeks of sun a year, that's not something I'm going to use. But in your part of the world where it's glorious sunshine for the majority of the year, that may well be an option for you. Now out of the box, you're going to be able to control your SwitchBot Curtain 3 via your mobile app. But if you're going to want to control it via a smart speaker, your Google Home or your Amazon smart speaker, then you're going to need a SwitchBot Hub 2. Once you've got that hooked up and that you've enabled the cloud services and linked up your skill in kind of like your Amazon device, then you can just control that with your voice as per normal. You'll also need the Hub 2 if you want to use Apple Home, as it acts as a bridge and provides Matter support to your devices. The SwitchBot Curtain 3 comes with a new motor that is supposed to be twice as good as previous generations, and whilst I've been using this on relatively light set of curtains, it is meant to be good to be able to push along curtains of a weight of up to 16 kilos, so some quite heavy curtains there. Now, if you don't want to be talking to a smart speaker or pressing a remote control to close your curtains, and you haven't bothered to go and set yourself up a schedule to go and do all that for you, or maybe even an automation, well, the SwitchBot Curtain 3 has kind of like a tug feature on it, so you can kind of like tug it to close it. You just have to pull it, I think it's kind of like 5 centimeters, it has to be pulled along, and then it will automatically close your set of curtains. Same if you want to open them as well, you can just do that. So SwitchBot really thought of everything there. Now most people are going to want to install the SwitchBot Curtain 3 in their bedroom, That's what I've gone and done. And obviously, with something like this, one of the key things is the noise level of the motors. You don't want something that sounds like some kind of jet engine whizzing across your curtain rod. My ambient noise level in the room isn't too bad. I have traffic that goes past the house, so obviously it's not super quiet as a room. With the SwitchBot drivers in place, there's two modes on this. So there's kind of like a standard mode which closes the curtains pretty quickly, I would say. It's no slouch in doing that. That does increase the volume level within the room, but it's not super noisy. Whether you would notice that, I guess it depends upon how deep a sleeper and heavier sleeper you are. But it also has this drift mode on it as well, which is unbelievably quiet. It does take a while for the curtains to close. It's a good few minutes. It's almost like they kind of just inch along on the curtain rod. But it is so quiet, you wouldn't even notice that if that was opening and closing your curtains of a morning. So that's a really nice feature to have in these curtain motors. So overall, I think SwitchBot have come out with something really good here. Obviously, this is the first of these types of devices that I've gone and used, and they've really impressed me. The build quality is quite spot on. I thought these would be absolutely huge, bulky units. They're not tiny, they're not super slim, but they are just well built, well designed curtain motors. There is a lot of functionality there. The app is super easy to use, super slick. Everything's very clear. Lots of features there for you to play around with. You can obviously expand upon the system by using the hub too, and I would suggest that you get that. Certainly if you want to use your smart speaker devices. What would I improve on this? I think it would have to be what SwitchBot have done with for the transition in the curtain rods. I think it's a good attempt. It just doesn't look that great. You've spent this money on fancy looking curtain rods, and you've got this it's not for me. That as I said earlier on, I'll probably try and come up with another solution, but hats off to SwitchBot for at least attempting to resolve that problem. So obviously one of the key things about devices like this is how you integrate it into your smart home ecosystem. And yes, you've got the remote controls there to go and open and close your curtains. You can use your smart speakers to go and do it. You can set up schedules in the app and go and do it that way. But you can integrate this with your Apple Home, or you can integrate it with Home Assistant. If you've got the solar panel, it's got a light sensor on the back, and obviously you can have your curtains open at the optimum time to bring that light into your bedroom. So lots and lots of functionality there to be able to integrate this into your smart home ecosystem. So the SwitchBot Curtain 3 is available for £89.99. I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to get hold of one of those, but I'd love to know your thoughts about this. Would you consider having something like this in your home? Let me know down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Comment as well. It really does, all that kind of feedback really does help the channel. But as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.